This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Are you still cutting your own grass? Are you still trying to get your landscaping to look perfect on your own? That sounds sweaty. That sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like a job for Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Family owned and operated. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services, located on Kern Street in Exeter near Blue Ribbon Dairy, has the quality and experience to get your yard looking its best. The Garden Center offers plants, trees, sod, mulch, rocks, flowers, topsoil, grass seed, straw bales, and much more, while the Lawn and Landscaping Services offers mowing, trimming, planting, and full landscaping. And also new at Keller's Garden Center is the Zen Chaser Bonsai Studio, offering bonsai trees, supplies, and classes. Visit them on their social media page for more info. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Get your free estimate today. Richard Patrick from Filter. Welcome to the PopGo Project Podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. There's nothing else you could be doing on a Labor Day than talking to a guy from Scranton.
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 That's the land of Joe Biden. That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing else going on.
I'm available for the people of Scranton right now.
Yeah.
On Labor Day. And I'm very happy to be here.
You have no idea how much this means to me. I mean, this is actually going to be my 200th episode of the podcast. So thank you for, making, the milestone kind of a big deal for me. But I grew up, in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. I turned 16 in the 90s. I turned almost 18 in the 90s. But a lot of, big moments for me growing up was milestones, big moments. But the music of the 90s was really tied to a lot of those moments. And obviously Filter was, a huge band in the 90s. And a lot of your music was tied to those moments for me. So, thanks for the
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad I could be the soundtrack of your life.
You really were.
Part of it.
Yeah. And your brother too. Your brother in the movies he was in, Terminator and that movie The Faculty was a movie I was watching when I was growing up, but he was in a lot of stuff too. But those two were big ones for me. But this podcast has been able to I've been able to talk to Everclear, Art from Everclear, Brian from the Verve Pipe. It's been cool to have this opportunity to kind of meet and talk to the people that I grew up listening to.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Filter's been around for a long time. I told you before we started recording, I wouldn't go into the history of Filter. I'm sure, you've told those stories a million times. People have the internet. They can kind of, do some research. So I wanted to talk about, just kind of what you're up to currently. I know you just released a new album about a year ago now, and you're on tour and you're going to be coming to Scranton on September 22nd. So kind of talk to me about, tell me what you've been up to recently.
Well, we've been on tour for the past, we went on tour in Europe and Australia in March, and then I took some time off to do a movie score that I'm working on. And now we're on tour with Freaks on Parade, Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, and Ministry. And it's been amazing. And we're just playing around the country, playing shows. Can't wait to play Scranton. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be a headlining set, so that's going to be cool. So we'll play for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I saw you're not bringing the Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie to Scranton. We have a pretty up-and-coming band, Another Day Dawns, is going to be on that with you, which they're a great group, too.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then the Ritz is a fairly new venue in Scranton. Well, it's been there for a while, but it's under new ownership as of early this year. So they've been doing some really great things. So it's going to be an exciting show.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Plus, I think it's being sponsored by Parlor Root Beer.
Parlor Root Beer and Fuzz 96.1.
Yeah, Fuzz 96.1.
Yeah.
The Fuzz.
People people keep saying the fuzz or 96.1 fuzz. It's just but it was a station that existed in the market like maybe 5 or 6 years ago for a 7 year term that they took it away. So it was missed by many, and now it's back. I'm happy to be a part
That's
of that. So,
great.
yeah,
That's awesome.
but yeah, it consists of music like yours. So it's just like I mean, did you ever think
Are you
growing up?
playing Obliteration?
What's up?
Are you playing Obliteration?
We are not. We're not playing any of the new stuff. We should though. We should be.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if we can get that in rotation since you are coming to the
Yeah.
market. We keep playing the older stuff. It's like
Yeah. The classics,
the
triplet guys,
class.
take the picture. Hey man, nice shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, it's good to have at least that. You know what I mean? At least I did that.
You've done so much more than that. Don't be fooled, right?
Yeah.
Um,
The algorithm actually was awesome to make. It was a great record and to make, and it was really fun because I bought this big computer and I had to like relearn how to use it. But once I learned how to use it, I started making songs with it, and it just clicked. And that's where a lot of the record came from. It's just the fact that I had a computer and I was writing again just by myself. So the drowning and face down and stuff like that were all written by me. And then I did utilize some help from my friends Sam Tenez and Mark Jackson and Ian Scott. Then wrote Obliteration. Yeah, there's tons of great music on that record. I'm really proud of it.
there are some really great songs. Yeah. And that came out about a year ago, right?
Yeah, about a year, August 24th, about a year ago. And I think the cool thing is we're going to re-release it and call it Richard's version. And because we're trying to get away from our old label,
Oh, okay.
and it's going to have 8 new songs on it. It's going to be one brand new song from Filter called All the Dictators, then a remix by Charlie Clouser, who does Obliteration, a remix by yours truly for Obliteration, and then another remix from Sean Bevan, and then a remix from Burn Out the Sun by Julian Gray, who's an amazing new talent I worked with. Plus, I have a new song with him called Out Here, which is on Spotify and every streaming service. And then there's a YouTube cover that we did called "The Sort of Homecoming."
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool. So there's a
but
lot going
that's
on.
the new version of the record's going to be coming out soon. It's going to be a re-release
How soon?
within the next 6 months for
Okay.
sure. Yeah,
So do you think before the end of the year or no?
I would
Hard to
hope.
say.
I really hope so, but I kind of doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever think when you started out, like your career, would have taken you to the places you've been?
I was like blown away by being able to go to Australia and play in front of packed clubs in Australia, in New Zealand, and Prague, Czechoslovakia, and you know the UK and France, and my music has taken me all over the world, and I'm pretty happy about it. It definitely changed my life when I started this band, and I'm very proud of the fact that we can go anywhere and play a small club and rock out and have fun.
Yeah. And I mean, in the 90s, like, making a record and getting a record deal and all that kind of stuff was like obviously far different back then than it is now. And you've been able to live both those lives, a era before streaming and obviously where we are now with all the streaming. Like, how have you
Plus
had to?
the kind of the fact that rock music is not as huge as it used to be.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's like that sucks.
yeah. Yeah, back in the 90s, it was pretty amazing. The record company would be like, so we have to do a video if that's cool. It's part of your contract.
Yeah.
What video director would you like to work with? Oh, I think I'd like to work with Kevin Kerslake, who did all the Nirvana videos, and he did Smashing Pumpkins. I'd like to work with him. Okay, that's great. Your budget's going to be $350,000. And is there anything we can get you in the meantime? Like it was insane.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yo, what do you want? You want to do a video? You got a friend that can make it? You got a buddy that can make your video for you? Like, it's totally different. It's like, the only people that are spending a lot of money on videos is like Little Nas. Like, and Taylor Swift and
Right.
and people like that. But like rock music, man, we're starting over in many respects. It's wild. It's definitely crazy. Like,
And that's got to be kind of hard, right? Because you came out with one thing and now it's like it's completely different. So like how have
well,
you
it's
how have you
it's it's strange because making records is insanely easier. It's
right.
way easier, and it's very cost effective. Like, I have a studio and I pay rent on it, and I sit there and I make my music. And then when I want to go record drums, I take Elias Malin to a studio, and he does 9 songs worth of drums a day. And then I record everything else back at my house because I have professional recording equipment, that you can get, from Sweetwater or whatever. And we just learned how to make it super cheap. Like my records cost, like, back in the 90s, I think we spent $350,000 making like title of record. And now I spend probably around 10 grand at the most
Wow.
to make a record. Probably more like 20. Probably, yeah, if I include rent. But like, I mean, it's totally different. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Pros and cons, right? I guess.
Yeah.
But as far as like
But
distribution,
but then you go on tour and then you sell merch. You know what I mean? You really focus in on selling merch because people don't, they're not buying CDs anymore necessarily. They're kind of buying CDs and they're kind of buying vinyl and stuff like that. But like the main way people hear music is off of streaming services, and streaming services don't really pay.
right?
They cornered the market on it, and have knew exactly what they had and don't pay. So it's really all about going on tour and selling merch. I mean, that's pretty much one of the only ways you can really make money.
So that's where you're at now. Is hustling
Yeah,
hard.
you gotta hustle.
And I mean, I'm not gonna call you old, right? So don't take this the wrong way. But what's that like? Like you've been
56 years old.
nice. That's you look great. You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
But I mean, that's not young. I mean, and you've been hustling. You've been doing this for a long time. A lot of travel, a lot of grinding. Like, what is that? How is it different now than it was when you first started?
Well, I'm special. I'm special because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I abused drugs and alcohol and really, really made it hard for myself. And now it's easy as hell to be on stage, like, because I'm sober and I'm healthy and I take good care of my voice and I don't smoke cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes and be a singer, back in the 90s and stuff like that. And
Hell yeah.
it was really hard. It's really hard to sing when your voice is like constantly fighting off cigarettes. And
Right.
so I enjoy it a lot now. I tour pretty heavily. When we went to Europe, I was playing like 4 shows in a row, taking a day off, and then another 3, and then taking a day off, and traveling halfway around the world to New Zealand. And like I was rocking, and I got sick, and I had to take medicine to get better. But I still managed to do it. You know what I mean? I still had a great time. So
it's like you. I like what your plan was, just like to make it really hard for yourself so that way later on it's just easier.
yeah,
I want to going to the gym,
it's a fairly simple job. you know. Remembering lyrics is kind of tough, but I
Yeah.
put an iPad on the stage and I have like I can look down and see my what my lyrics are. But hitting the high notes is awesome. It's fun, and writing new music is really fun and easy. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about putting another record out next year too, a brand new like 15 song record or 11 to 15 song record.
Wow.
And yeah, I've got plans. So
Does it just kind of flow out of you? Like, I mean, is that just part of your day, basically?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, what do I have to do? I mean, I do movie scores, and I'm doing a new movie called The Gunslingers, starring Nicolas Cage and Stephen Dorff. And that takes a certain amount of time. And then I'm working on a documentary called Protect the House on that, and that takes a certain amount of time. But you know, I constantly try and keep myself busy. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. I sitting around just driving my wife crazy would it's not I'm not ready to retire because when you do what you love, it's not work. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You're just having a blast. So
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
And you've
Mhm.
been sober for a long time now, right?
21 years.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah.
That's a product of the 90s, I think, is, and prior to that, obviously, it just, people like to party.
Yeah, partying was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, until it wasn't.
Right.
Partying was crazy. Yeah.
Was there a moment where like you knew like this has to stop and
Yeah.
yeah.
September 28th, 2002 was when I got sober. And the day before that, it was my last kind of drunk. And I just remember being on this balcony and I was looking down, like 20 floors up in a hotel in like Atlanta or something like that. And I looked down and I was like, if I jumped, I would probably hit that grassy knoll and probably survive. And, then I'd be paraplegic. And I was like, all right, is this really where you're at now, bro? Thinking about jumping all the time. And I just was like, this is no way to live. I can't stand this. And I was really hungover. And I just was like, you know what? I at the loss of the amalgamate, basically, I stopped promoting the amalgamate, and that record technically didn't do as good as Title or Short Bus, and it kind of screwed my career up. But I at kind of the peril of that, I saved my life,
Yeah.
because I went to rehab and I got sober.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, like I said, congratulations. That's not something easy. I
Mhm.
can't speak from experience, but I mean, I know people and have friends that have gone through it,
Mhm.
and it's tough. And so kudos to you for
Mhm.
I
Yeah, it was 95% of us die, and if I just keep taking it one day at a time, I think I should be okay.
yeah,
And I have friends that are struggling horrendously with drugs and alcohol, and they can't stop. I have a friend that's drinking himself into the grave, and it's just like, wow, he just can't stop. He
yeah,
cannot stop drinking. It's bizarre. And, and he's lost everything. He's lost pretty much everything. So,
yeah. I can't imagine. Um,
yeah.
but I'm really happy for
So
people who can
you
get through it.
can too.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can stop too,
So
kids out there.
you and I actually met 11 years ago.
Hmm. Oh, well, good to see you again.
I and you look better now than you even did back then.
Really?
Yeah.
What was wrong with back then?
Nothing. I just think it's kind of wild that you look even
I'm
better now.
flashy and pink.
I can't even share my screen. What the heck's going on? I had a photo of the moment ready to go. And
Hmm.
okay, well, I guess that's not going to work. But yeah, that's unfortunate. I haven't practiced before I jumped on here. Guess I didn't practice well enough. But yeah, I saw you. You're at Penn's Peak, uh, Jim Thorpe, 2013.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, I think you were with Everclear that show.
Yeah, we
Everclear,
might have been on tour with that show. It was called Summerland.
Summerland. Yeah,
Yeah, that was that. We were on tour with Everclear.
yeah,
God, it's already been fucking 10 years.
yeah. It's crazy, and I wish I could find this photo. This is really making me mad. But is this your first time coming back to Scranton? I would imagine, or
In a long time, yeah.
yeah. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it.
But we are crushing it on the road. So I see your screen. Cool.
Yeah, hold on. There you go.
Yeah.
That's my wife.
Oh yeah. She's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I showed her this morning, and I'm like, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe how young we are.
Yeah, 10
And
years, a long time.
11 years. Yeah,
11 years.
11 years. Yeah, that was at Penn's Peak. That was at Penn's Peak.
Yeah. It's wild. I've done gray since. I like it.
It looks great. I can only hope that, like, I'm starting to go right now, but I can only hope that it's that cool when it goes gray.
Yeah. Well, it was
Look
wild.
distinguished.
I was going gray ever since I was like 20. So
Yeah.
I was fighting it for a long time by dyeing it black. But it was funny because I was dyeing it black because I'm like, goth kid from Cleveland.
Right.
And then after a while, I was like, am I dyeing it black because I'm a goth kid, or am I dyeing it black because I'm ashamed I'm gray? And I was like, I'm not ashamed to be gray, so I just let it rip like 6 years ago.
It worked.
Yeah.
It works. There's one of the owners of the Ritz. His name is James Olecki. I'm sure you'll have the pleasure of meeting him when you're in Scranton again. That's on September 22nd. Handsome man. Really strong jaw, but he has the nice gray, silver head of hair.
He's a fellow silver fox.
Silver fox. You guys will get along very well. You guys need a picture together for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. But what else? I mean, I know we don't have a lot of time. I want to keep you. This Labor Day. You've got, I'm sure, a ton of better things to do than, like I said, talking to me. But
I just want everyone to know that the show is amazing. We have 9 records or 8 records to play from, and we try and cover most of the records. And every song is awesome. And we do a lot of the old stuff as well, and we have a great time doing it. And Filter is the best it's ever been. Now, this is the best band that we've ever been, and it sounds awesome. We have Sean Bevan doing our front of house, and he's a legend. He made, the Manson records and all sorts of stuff like that. Helped Trent Reznor out in the beginning. And yeah, we have a great crew and a great band, and I absolutely recommend seeing the show. If you've got any hesitations, get the fuck out and watch us.
Yeah. How is that, over the years and having the kind of like a rotating cast of band members, how has that like either hurt or helped you in all the writing processes?
It's wild because I should have probably called Filter Richard Patrick. I should have probably just said Richard Patrick and the Filter or something, because it would have made more sense to people. Filter was started in my mom's basement. I had an 8-track and a bass guitar and a guitar, electric guitar, and I had a sampler. And I started writing in my mom and dad's basement. And it's always been something that I like, okay, if I go on the road, I'll have to flesh it out with real people. Like, Short Bus was done with a drum machine. There was no live drums on that record. And I needed a drummer. So I went to Chicago because it had a bigger pool of people. And I found Matt Walker, and Brian Lee Skang was available to kind of play guitar. And and then we found Gino Leonardo, and it was just like, okay, the record's done, I made it, and it's all ready to go. All you have to do is come in and play the guitar parts and play the bass parts. And people saw that and went, oh my God, it's a band. When really it's a recording project that I flesh out with hired guns live. And but on Tidal, I listened to it, and my hired gun bandmates, like, I listened to Gino, and he had some great song ideas, so I incorporated him and made him part of the artwork, and and then we changed drummers to Steve Gillis, and but you know, at a certain point I decided I want to try new people or work with different folks, and um, it's been a long journey, and I've had a lot of great people in the band. And Matt Walker went off and joined the Smashing Pumpkins, and so, like, okay, well, Matt's now a Smashing Pumpkin, and then he went off to work with Morrissey, and it's like, well, Matt's busy, he's not going to come back to Filter, and so I have to find someone new, like Steve Gillis, or you know but I've always tried to keep the standard of musicians to get better and better and better. And right now, I have fantastic musicians. Rotten Bobby on bass guitar and vocals, Johnny Radke on guitar and vocals, and Elias Malin on drums. And these guys are no slouches. They are uh, they are fantastic musicians, and Johnny and Bobby sing backups too. And yeah, it's been a long journey to be in a band with these guys, because this particular band is really fantastic. So I'm really proud of it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's I mean, when you're dealing with people that are like some drummers, like we had a drummer, Jeff Fab was our drummer for a little while, and then he went off and joined Black Label Society, because they toured quite a bit more than Filter did, and they're a little bigger, so he can get more money. But every bandmate has a different reason why they're kind of here or not in the band anymore. I worked with Umi Capello, who's a great guitar player, great songwriter, but I just kind of veered away. I did the algorithm was just kind of more centered around what I wanted to do, and and I worked with Brian Leesgang again a little bit on the algorithm. I had 2 songs that we wrote together, and he basically focused in on the lyrics and some overdubs for the songs. And it was great to work with him again. But I just, it's my band. I'm the guy that started it. I'm the guy that named it. And if you want to hang out, great. If you don't want to hang out, then I'll find someone else, to work with. So it's kind of the way it is.
Well, I'm just happy it's still going. Really, I am.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I've got air in my lungs, I'll be doing Filter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
I was at an oil lube. I was at a Jiffy Lube, and I looked up and I saw the word filter. It said oil filter, and I just saw the word filter, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And I thought, like, well, the brain is a big filter. Everybody's got a filter.
Yeah, okay.
It just kind of went off on there's a theory by Immanuel Kant, who is a German philosopher, and he's like, everybody has a filter. There's the phenomenon, then there's your brain that schematizes everything, and then there's the truth of what that is. And like, you look at the color purple, that could be my red, but like, because I'm used to seeing, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Everything could be totally different for each and everybody. We all have different versions of reality, and there's all the things that made you, and there's all the things that made me, and that's all because we have, a conscious mind, So I kind of tripped out on that and went, yeah, filter. Plus the fact that I don't have a filter, I pretty much say whatever the hell pops into my head. So it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing too, because I really don't. I have ADHD, and I just say shit. I get in trouble all the time.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Some people, yeah, don't have filters, and I'm jealous of that because I think I filter myself maybe too much sometimes.
I've learned that it's okay to have a filter.
Yeah. Well, that was deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's real cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked that question. I don't always like to ask those questions because sometimes it's like lame to do that, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to ask me that.
One more thing, I'll let you go. You have a busy September. There's a festival, HF Festival in DC on September 22nd or 21st rather. The day before you're in Scranton, and then also on 9/26 in Louisville, Kentucky, a big festival there, Louder Than Life. I mean, you're with Evanescence, Breaking Benjamin, Disturbed, Slipknot, Seether. Like those are big names from that era. The 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Like, are you friends with those projects? Or yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've known David for a long time from Disturbed, and yeah, it's wild. I was looking at a meme or something that said, add up a point for every band that you've seen live, and I was
Nice.
like, I've seen most of these bands.
Yeah.
And it keeps going. Yeah, like it's wild. It's fun. I mean, I get to hang out with Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie and Al Jorgensen from Ministry and all their bandmates and all their crew. And, it's like one big family, and musicians are strange people. We are definitely a different type, and it's fun to hang out with my kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the algorithm is out now. The newest record from Filter back in August of last year. Hopefully, we'll have new stuff from you in the next 6 months, like you mentioned earlier.
The next year, you're going to get a re-release of the algorithm called Richard's version of the algorithm, and then it's going to be a new record that's not titled yet, and lots of music coming from us, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. And then obviously, like I said, September 22nd in Scranton at the Ritz. Tickets available at theritztheater.com. Hopefully I'll see you at the show. I mean, if I try and sneak back, I'm unfortunate, was a presenting sponsor, and maybe we can get a new updated photo together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do one of those, how it started.
It'll be a before and after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for your time today. I know it's a holiday, and I appreciate every minute that you gave me today. So I hope to see you on the 22nd in Scranton, and best of luck with everything you have going on.
You got it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you.
Okay. See ya.
Between my